Nintendeen is back at it again, desperately trying to glaze Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
What's up, everybody? You know, it's kind of funny the way things work sometimes. It's Mario Kart World's 1-year birthday. Pretty much the entirety of the gaming community is talking about how it was such a disappointment that in an entire year, Nintendo's flagship, inaugural $80 game has been such a letdown and such a disappointment, primarily because so many expected that there would be more added to the game given just how expensive it was, and, well, because it's 2026 and it's a kart racer with online racing. So there had to be some kind of events or some kind of bonuses or some kind of free content additional to what you'd purchased to keep the game up, alive, bumping, and enjoyable. And
the game is still alive. I don't know what Nintendeen is smoking here, but you can hop on online Mario Kart World any time of day, all year long, and you're going to find races, okay? In all three of the major modes, you're going to find players. So this idea that people had that, like, oh, we desperately needed additional content, like, before the first year is even over, like, that wasn't true, like, at all. And we're proving that wasn't true at all. Like, even after all of these Sonic Racing Crossworlds updates and DLC, like, it still has not remained as relevant as Mario Kart. The simple fact of the matter is Sonic Racing Crossworlds is not on the same level of quality as Mario Kart World. Nobody plays Sonic Racing while everyone plays Mario Kart.
just as people are letting out their final breath of disappointment for the game that they basically purchased because it was included with the Switch 2, in the middle of the Summer Game Fest. A pretty good Summer Game Fest, if I might add. One that had nearly 90 games announced total, all of which were available on every major platform and PC, except
either things got a confirmation that they are coming to Switch 2 already, or we're going to get one at a later date. Again, the Switch 2 can run all these games. That's not a question at this stage. If anything hasn't gotten a hard confirmation for Switch 2 yet, it will eventually. So this is Nintendeen being a pedantic retard. Like, we got Resident Evil Veronica, we got Final Fantasy VII Revelations, we got the biggest games at the show. So again, this isn't even true. This is him being deliberately misleading.
when it came to the Switch 2, about 1 in every 4 of them was actually available for that. Imagine thinking Nintendo was now a company that would be the home for third parties.
If a third-party game doesn't launch on Switch 2, they're going to lose out on massive sales. It isn't going to work out for them long-term. And we've seen this happen several times over the past decade already, and it's only going to get worse from here. Like, the era of third parties refusing to support Nintendo hardware is long over.
However, one of those games that were discussed during the Summer Game Fest was Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Now, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, depending on who you speak to, was by many people shrugged off and considered a failure. Really for no other reason.
It was. There's no disputing it at this point. This was a game that was billed by the community to be the Mario Kart World Killer. This was supposed to be bigger and better than Mario Kart. It was supposed to be seen as like being way higher quality. And in spite of the industry's attempts at glazing it and pushing it as the premier kart racer, it has been completely forgotten about. Like, not only did it not outsell Mario Kart World, it couldn't even outsell Kirby Air Riders. Oh, and by the way, Nintendeen will try and tell you that Mario Kart World is a failure at 15 million units sold. Like, he'll try and tell you it's entirely due to bundles, and then he'll try and tell you Kirby Air Riders is a failure for only selling 2 million units. So don't take him seriously when it comes to sales talk regarding Sonic Racing Crossworlds.
And then petty console warring stuff. In actuality, the only real updates that we've gotten for the sales numbers of Sonic Racing Crossworld was that within its first month it sold 1 million units, and their goal was to reach 2 million by the time we hit March. This would be a very healthy and a very good pace for Sonic Racing because it would put it just behind successes like Shadow Generations and Sonic Frontiers. And seeing as how Sonic Racing Crossworlds was topping all sorts of charts during the holiday season, and it hit its first million before it even launched on the Nintendo Switch 2, both digitally and then later on again physically, And since Sega doesn't always update the sales numbers of their games, rather they just release an entire franchise total, honestly I figured they'd probably reach that 2 million mark, but even if they were shy of that 2 million mark, that would be a very good showing for a spin-off game of a franchise that basically has struggled to have like one title hit 5 million sales in the last 15 or so years.
In other words, Nintendeen is admitting that Sonic the Hedgehog is nowhere near as relevant as even Nintendo's C-list characters at this stage. I would argue that Star Fox, Kirby, and Donkey Kong are all way bigger, healthier franchises than Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Okay, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is probably going to outsell Sonic Racing Crossworlds. You know, a niche strategy RPG is going to outperform a kart mascot platform. Like, the Sonic IP is dead, okay? Like, the simple fact of the matter is, the only reason that anybody is talking about Crossworlds at all is out of a desperate attempt to hype this up over Mario Kart World. And you can see that all over this video. Like, if Sonic Racing Crossworlds really was that impressive, if it really was something worth talking about, you would see people talk about it outside of context that involved downplaying Nintendo and Mario Kart World. In a lot of ways, it is the POW world of mascot kart racers.
But obviously, I've had nothing tangible to indicate that Sonic Racing Crossworlds was a success. All I knew was that for me, it was a success. Here's an interesting tidbit, right? I recently purchased 007 First Light on day one. I actually didn't even pay the full price for the game. I ended up splitting it with some friends over Steam in our family plan, so we kind of just divided the cost out because everybody wanted to play it and we're just taking turns. Amazing game, by the way. It might be my game of the year. Now, the interesting thing, and I could be missing some titles, but I can't remember for certain. Since the end of 2024 and until 007, I'm pretty sure there are only 3 games that I purchased and played on day one with my own money. I played some other games on day one. Like, sometimes a family member wants to buy the game, so they'll buy it on day one, and then I'll get to play it before they do. But the last games that I actually spent money on and purchased on day one was back in the end of 2024, I bought Sonic and Shadow Generations, as well as Super Mario Party Jamboree, and then there was a long gap, and I purchased day one the Digital Deluxe Edition of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. I got a fairly good discount on it because I think somebody on Twitter shared a deal for the Steam version. But it was like the
Okay, this is actually important because this demonstrates how hypocritical Nintendeen actually is. So what he's doing is that he admitted that he bought the Digital Deluxe Edition of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which of course is the digital version that includes the season pass for all the DLC. Okay, so it was sold at a higher price point. He claims that he got this at a discounted price on day one. Keep in mind, this is the same guy that complains about the Mario Kart World Bundle and how that game was priced. No, like Sonic Racing Crossworlds was fine because he was able to get all the DLC at a discounted price. But Mario Kart World is an issue, even though it was bundled and you didn't have to pay the $80 price tag if you didn't want to. Like there were perfectly reasonable ways around it. So Nintendeen is complaining about Mario Kart World while glazing Sonic Racing Crossworlds, even though that doesn't make any sense. Like the simple fact of the matter is Nintendeen is perfectly willing to look the other way when it comes to exorbitant prices on games if Nintendo is not involved, because I actually remember the price point for the Digital Deluxe Edition, and it was about $80. It doesn't matter if he got it at a discount because it wouldn't have been as severe as a discount as as Mario Kart World would have been if he had just gotten it bundled. So the numbers don't really add up. And this seems to be a defense mechanism whenever Nintendeen like says something that doesn't make any sense, is that like he always does this thing where he's just like, yes, I only buy games on sale. I buy games on my Steam family plan. Like, and I split the cost with other people. Bro. If you're on a family plan, you're the one making money in the family. So it's like your money. What are you talking about? Like, again, Nintendeen is he's so desperate to try and make Nintendo look overpriced and worthless while like glazing Sonic, but it's absurd the lengths he's gone to push this narrative.
Day one purchase. And then after that, again, unless I'm missing something, I'm pretty sure the only other title that I purchased on the day that it was released was Super Meat Boy, because everybody talked about how amazing it was. And I say that at the day it was released, it might have been like somewhere in those first few days, but still. And then after that was 007. The point that I'm trying to highlight is that it's very rare for me to invest that much money into a game when it first launches because I know that game is going to drop in price. But Sonic Racing Crossworlds, a game which initially I completely shrugged off, but
you bought the digital deluxe edition on day one. Yep, I just went back through his back catalog of videos, and he's done nothing but glaze this game since it was first unveiled. In fact, the closest he's ever gotten to criticizing this game is a video in which he was complaining about the possibility of it being a Game Geek card.
And despite that, as a guy who made his channel based off of Nintendo, even if I had a Nintendo Switch 2, I wouldn't be buying Sonic Crossworlds on my Switch 2, in the same way that I didn't buy any of the Sonic games on my Switch 1, because objectively, there are better ways to play third-party titles than on a Switch. That's how it's always been, and that's how it's going to be moving forward.
So this video was recorded 11 months ago. This is before the release of the game, and here he's saying that he's definitely going to pick up the game, but it's going to be on another console. There's no mention of like being skeptical towards the game or its quality or thinking that it's not going to be a big deal or that it won't be competitive with Mario Kart, right? This was his initial stance on the game, is that it was not going to be something that he would pick up on Switch 2. So that means Nintendeen is lying when he said that he initially shrugged the game off and then picked it up and realized it was absolutely amazing. Like, that's not how it happened.
Played that open network beta and I realized that it was an amazing kart racer. And it has completely been my kart racer of choice after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which sat in that kart racer of choice position for the better part of a decade. But since then, Sonic Racing Crossworlds has been my game of choice whenever I wanted to do a quick Grand Prix or just do a few races online. And that seems to be the general consensus with most people that actually purchase this title. Especially because, just like with every other major publisher outside of Nintendo, by the time you got to the holiday season and Black Friday, and then even beyond that, the game was always available on discount. And this is
This coming from the same guy who says that Nintendo Switch 2 games being on discount at retail proves that those games aren't selling well. Who are you trying to fool?
Kind of the way the gaming industry has thrived through the last 20 years. The game launches. If you want to be part of that initial hype, you pay more money. You're basically paying for the early access. But if you wait, discounts come in and you can still enjoy the title, but not when everybody's talking about it or on day one, for example. I don't know if there are many people that actually got buyer's remorse from purchasing Sonic Racing Crossworld. The ones that spent 70 to 90 bucks on day one, those are enthusiasts, and most likely they're still playing the game to this day, or they put in a lot of hours leading up to this day. And
so he's fine with people paying 80 bucks for the game for Sonic, but if you did that for Mario Kart, you're just a Nintendo shill and a bootlicker, and then you're disappointed in your product. Like, what is he talking about? The double standard's just amazing.
The ones that waited until the holidays and bought it for $20 or $30 or maybe 40 bucks depending on the platform, well, in their case, I mean, it's a budget title as far as what they spent on it, and then it gets regular updates and all these new events that frequently happen. The point is that Sonic Racing Crossworld was very clear that it had a roadmap when you purchased it, and it's actually a very big reason why I decided to buy the title, even though it was steeper than I wanted to spend and steeper than what I typically spend on games in general. I knew exactly what was going to be coming to me and when it was going to be coming, and I knew that it would only be lasting for nearly a year. And it was more than worth it for me. Buy the game, buy the digital deluxe edition, enjoy it for an entire year. At the end of that whole year, well, I can just keep playing Sonic Racing Crossworlds online with my friends like I've been doing for the last few months. Now keep in mind the game still has not reached its 1-year birthday. It's not till the end of September that it will be 1 year old. And because of the roadmap that's been laid ahead, I know exactly what types of updates are going to be coming as the game goes along. The transparency from Sonic Team doesn't keep me guessing. Again, unlike some other franchises that will make you wonder if there's going to be an update anytime ever. So imagine my surprise where before the first year is even up for this title, I find out that Sonic Racing Crossworld is going to get a year 2 of updates. That's very exciting for me, and it's not simply exciting because there's more content. Like, at the end of the day, you're still just going to be racing, and a lot of the times the tracks that are going to be coming out are the same ones that you've been racing in already. Like, the game...
You know, I was watching this and it dawned on me. Is the new DLC included in the Digital Deluxe Edition? So I went ahead and looked at Sega's official presentation, the official PR firm, and I received confirmation that no, these are new DLC packs that are still in development. You're going to have to pay extra for year 2 of Sonic Racing Crossworld, something that Nintendeen doesn't even address.
Released as a complete title. As a matter of fact, even people that didn't opt to get the Digital Deluxe Edition, they got a full game. Especially when you're playing online, because you still have access to all of the tracks that come with every one of these updates when you're playing in the online lobbies. So you actually don't even need to buy the DLC stuff to access those tracks, technically. But that's kind of a tangent anyway. But the neat thing about this is that every single time there is a new update or there's something added to the game, there's an announcement of a new character that's going to be coming in, some new tracks that would be worth trying out, a lot of those hype levels that peak and drop around the game, as well as like the active user base, they tend to jump up a little bit every time you get one of these new announcements or something new added to the title. So in my case, for example, I actually do not know if Sonic Team is planning on charging for the year 2 stuff. I assume they would, because the understanding when you bought the Digital Deluxe Edition would be it would cover the cost of that year 1 stuff. If the year 2 stuff is included for anybody that already bought the year 1 stuff, that's great. I'm gonna obviously celebrate at that point. If, however, they are planning on charging 20 or 30 bucks for the additional stuff, even $10, I don't know that I would actually pay for that. Because at this point, I feel like I'm more than content with the characters. I've seen how my patterns have gone over the last year. Like, initially I was like, oh, I always got to try the new character at least once. But then I just kind of hop around and choose whatever just to experiment a little bit. So I don't know if it's...
So this entire video was him hyping up the DLC for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, only for him to kneel and admit that, like, no, well, actually, I'm not going to pay for this. Like, wow, even Nintendeen isn't willing to open his wallet for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, even if it was to slight Mario Kart World. Oh boy, unbelievable.
Necessarily worth it for me to spend more money on the characters, because I'm not even playing offline typically. I'm just jumping online and doing random races with random people, sometimes with my friends joining me. And regardless of whether or not I purchase that year 2 stuff, well, I'm still gonna get access to those tracks. And that's the part that's exciting for me. Not only do I get access to new tracks when I'm playing online with random people, but I know there are going to be a lot of folks that put the game down and, well, they're going to jump right back into it just like they have every time there is a new release. And it just means that this game that I already invested all of this money and time into, that I feel like was fulfilled and justified with the amount of money that I spent on it because of what I've gotten out of it, is now just going to increase and be even better, with a longevity now that's going to be expanded even more than I thought it would have been when I first bought the game. Right, this is kind of basic.
Here's the thing. Mario Kart World was more relevant than Sonic Racing Crossworlds without doing any of that. It was simply a good game that people stuck with over the past year. Like, everything Sonic Racing has done for attention, all the crossovers, like the stupid shift gimmick, like just the general, like, the marketing campaign, like none of that really made the game popular or relevant long term. It was just desperately trying to recapture the vibe of the 90s. And it's something that we really should address when discussing these kind of things going forward, in that we were told that Sonic Racing Crossworlds was way better than Mario Kart World, and that just didn't happen. And now we're seeing people just refuse to admit that it didn't happen.
Stuff. Right? Most of you already understand this. This is what companies do. They add updates to games to get more sales, to gain more traction, to get more people to be interested in the title. And for the case of Sonic Racing Crossworlds, I appreciate the additional effort that they're putting into the game to keep it alive for as much as possible. Because what I was used to before that was buying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in 2017 and not getting anything new in the title until 2022. That's a 5-year window. And I was so excited with the Booster Course Pass, even though those tracks were made for the mobile game. Like within my friend circles, I'm pretty sure we stopped playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or at least we dramatically slowed down how much we were playing it from like 2020 until 2022 when the Booster Course Pass was announced. And once that was announced, we started playing it significantly more. So just learning that Sonic Racing Crossworlds will have more content, which in turn means that there's going to be more activity online, because eventually that's the ultimate end goal. It doesn't matter about like the actual new content. It just means that this online racer is going to continue to populate in the lobbies for even longer. And that alone makes it a very exciting prospect that Sonic Racing Crossworlds is getting a second year. And this time around, the user base is on every platform. So you have the entirety of the Switch 2 audience, many of which are clearly disappointed with the stale nature of Mario Kart World, the same audience that has been begging for Nintendo to go the Super Smash Bros. Route and start adding new different characters to make things enticing. And now they're realizing that the Mario Kart World game that they played a few months ago and they haven't touched it since is already old and stale, but now that other game, well, Pac-Man, Mega Man, Godzilla, Ninja Turtles, Aang from Avatar, come on, it's a little bit exciting. Now, of course, the Defense Force will probably come out and make some random arguments about how it's like, oh, I miss when games used to launch complete. Or, oh, why do we need crossovers? They're just Mario characters. But of course, that energy and those arguments are only in there because these things are not being added to Mario Kart World. Because you bet your bottom dollar if they were being added to Mario Kart World, oh, they'd be talking about how great these DLC and these season passes are and how every single character is there. It's like, you know, everybody's invited, just like with Smash Ultimate. So it's just a matter of shrugging things off because it's not included in their own game. And the Switch 2 audience, specifically that casual Nintendo audience, typically they do a lot of heavy lifting for the Sonic franchise. They're not the only ones. Like, a lot of people tend to think that Sonic is only being carried by Nintendo fans. That's actually not true. Especially because, well, the Japanese market doesn't really like Sonic nearly as much as the Western markets do. And as many of you know, pretty much the only people that are actually spending and buying everything Nintendo right now is the Japanese market. So you can't really expect Nintendo to do that much of the lifting for the Sonic franchise. But it's also not an irrelevant portion of what still props up Sonic. Many Nintendo fans do indeed love the Sonic franchise, either because they had a Sega beforehand, or because they jumped in after Sonic went cross-platform and enjoyed the games, because it has like some of that mainstream mascot appeal, plus all the crossovers with Mario and all that other stuff. So that Switch 2 audience can now be part of the Sonic fun, and I think they've been part of the Sonic fun. But now they get to go into year 2 being with it from day 1. Especially because by now, everybody's bored of Mario Kart World. I mean, shoot, even on the local multiplayer angle, you're trying to play Mario Kart World with your friends on the same TV, you're not hitting 30 frames per second. It is frequently dropping below 30 frames per second. And don't take my word for it, just Google it and see how many people are complaining about this online. Sonic Racing, I mean, it's disappointing that it was only able to hit 30 frames per second 4-player split screen on the Switch 2, but at least it's a stable 30 frames per second when you have 3 or 4 players. And obviously with the single player and the 2-player split screen, you're still getting the stable 60 frames per second that you would expect. So even if you're just looking for the offline split screen experience, it seems like a no-brainer. And that's a very big reason why Sonic Racing Crossworlds has been a success by Sega standards, by Sonic standards. Right, you're obviously not going to compare it to Mario Kart World. That game was bundled in number 1, plus number 2, it's freaking Mario Kart, right? You're not going to beat it out. Not in sales numbers, and nobody believed that it would, including me. But the online gaming community knows which one is better, because the casual market props up Mario Kart, the same way that the casual market props up all of the same games that are released every single year. It's like considered slop by most gamers online. It's the casual market doing the heavy lifting on those. And it's the same thing with Mario Kart. But the streets, oh, they know which game is better. This is why back in December during the Game Awards, when Mario Kart World was announced, it was booed. And anytime Sonic Racing Crossworlds has been mentioned, people cheered. And the same exact
That was game journos rallying to try and destroy Mario Kart World in the Switch 2. It didn't work, but Nintendeen isn't willing to admit what's actually happening, is that you're seeing game journalism, journalist corruption in real time, because these people don't have to pay for their games. They don't have to spend their own money on this stuff. You know, it's part of their job. They play at work or whatever. Game journos they are not a very good representation over what people are actually playing or talking about. And we see like endless examples of this in the industry, but like the fact that he's still talking about the Game Awards and he's still trying to make this into a thing is just downright sad. Like, nobody cares. Okay, is just kind of my mindset on it at this point, is that nobody cares about the Game Awards.
Thing happened at the Summer Game Fest. Obviously, Mario Kart World was nowhere to be seen because, well, its Mario Kart World has died out already, but just the
No, you fucking retard. We didn't see anything Nintendo related at this showcase because they are doing their own Nintendo Direct tomorrow. So again, this idea that Mario Kart World is dead or that nobody cares about it, like it's just not true. And we are seeing firsthand that it's not true. Like no matter how many times you try and repeat these talking points, it's never going to not be true.
Mention of Sonic Racing Crossworlds immediately led to applause and cheers, especially when they announced that there would be a second year. Gamers love Sonic Racing Crossworld, casuals love Mario Kart World. It's evident. And, well, as a gamer dude myself, I'm very excited for the longevity of this game to increase by just that much. Everybody needs a good kart racer in their gaming rotations. And after a decade of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Sonic Racing has more than carried on the torch to the next generation for me. In any case, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you on the next one.
All he did in this video was glaze the new DLC and try and imply that Mario Kart World wasn't competing because it didn't have an update yet. And I don't know. He's going to be in for a rude awakening when we do start getting major updates for this. Like, I don't know. The stuff we're going to see in Mario Kart World is going to be insane, I imagine, when it does finally happen. Like, I just feel as if Nintendeen is grasping at straws with these videos. Like, I really, truly do. Because, like, he doesn't talk about how much he enjoys the mechanics or the track designs or the characters. It's always just like, oh, man, I bought this game on discount and I got a bunch of free DLC with it. It's free DLC! And you just, like, you just go, like, okay, but what about the actual game, though? And that's the problem with Nintendeen from a conceptual level, is that, like, when does he actually talk about the games? Because he keeps talking about like audience receptions and like the price points and like market conditions. He doesn't talk about the actual games, and I think that's why his channel is doomed to failure. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Patreon, buy my books, and I will see you all next time.